What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Jake from Citizen JV, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive on the newest trailer for Soul Reaver 1 and Soul Reaver 2 remasters, which are coming out later this year in December 2024. And, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you, bear this in mind, this is going to be so much better in terms of its quality, the artistic design, and vice versa. But to much further ado, let's dive right in. Now, before the transition is going to start here in just a moment, this is what Soul Reaver 2 looks like in the PS2 format. Now, let's watch the transition. All right. This is where I believe where Aspire Media is doing a great job of listening to the fan base and the community for this series as a whole. And I can instantly see it because if you see in the background, everything looks a little bit more saturated and darker in tone. And you can see what Raziel looks like with his feet, with his greaves above his feet. They look much more deeper in tone than they initially looked like before. The cowl looks a little bit deeper in tone of the brown and mixed in with his symbol above below his face. It looks so good. And I will say one thing with Kane, this is where oh my goodness, I can't believe this. So again, Kane looks just so much better than he did before the remastered transition. And it just looks so great. I love the way how he looks, his face, his hair, I mean everything all about him just looks fantastic. And I can't wait to see what the full project is going to be like this year. So, all right. So let's go a little bit more here. All right, guys. So now here, this is where it's going to be very cool and more interesting. This is Maokai in his regular true form in the PS1 version. But once we get into transition, this is where it's going to be even more absolutely amazing about this. Because again, as I previously stated by defending the other video, and I'm not going to defend it anymore because it did not look all that great because it was so much saturation. Everything was so light and more polished. And while I did like it at first, but with this new trailer, it just greatly shows that what they're really going to do of, kind of really staying true as to what the game is going to look like when it fully comes out. So here we go. Boom. All right, guys. So now this is what's really cool about what Malkaya looks like now. Um, what a lot of people do not know, as I previously mentioned in my previous video, this is initially what he was supposed to look like before he initially got cut. This remasters for Soul Reaver 1 specifically, other than Soul Reaver 2, is getting some type of cut content. So again, I love the way how Malkaya looks. His bones look a lot more drier. He looks more gruesome and menacing with his facial structure. And if you see above his head, just a little bit, or behind his head, he has that big ear. So basically, this is kind of like I would say evolved or de-evolved state of Malkaya after he became a vampire. And I love the way how it's the way how he is. He's a hulking beast, and he walks like, and he's basically like a giant slug with horns, and it's kind of ew, but it's also awesome at the same time. It looks really cool looking. I love that. Now in the background where Melkai is, it shows off that he has feet. This is actually, I would say, I think with all the bodies that he was able to attach himself with, which is kind of gross, but cool at the same time. And it's the same thing with the skull in front of his where his big foot is. That's really cool. And then of course you have the arm right here as well. And so this looks just so much better than initially did, and I'm flabbergasted, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is going to be really cool as to what the finished product will look like. So let's get going. All right. So now this is in battle with Melchiah and Raziel. As I previously stated about at the beginning of the video, but if you take a really good closer look of Raziel, by the way, with his greaves above his feet, they look so much better than they initially did because, like I previously stated, is that with those greaves above his feet, they were much lighter in tone and saturated and more well polished out. And they did look pretty cool at the same time, but now, like I said before, I'm not defending that video anymore. It did not look all that great with for a remastered version of this game. This looks so much better. And I will say that Raziel actually looks much better in this trailer than before as well because of his, much a little bit deeper in tone of his blue body. And not only that, if you take a look at his gauntlets, basically where his claws are, they look so much better. And, basically staying true what they initially looked like in the first iteration of the game on PS1 as well. And as I previously stated at the beginning of the video as well, is the fact that with this cowl, it does look a bit more deeper in tone of the brown and the quality of it. It just looks so much better. And I love that. And so again, if you take a look at Malkaya just a little bit more here, it's not just because of his eyes or his horns or whatnot, but he does look like a slow slug that goes like, walking very slowly. But he can be fast if you're not careful when in the heat of battle. So, all right, let's venture forward. All right, guys. So here is the Zephon boss battle, and this video is basically on the boss battles for Soul Reaver 1 specifically, other than Soul Reaver 2. Now, if you see here what Raziel looks like, obviously we already knew what he looked like in the PS1 form and the PS1 form of Zephon as well. Now, if we go once we go into transition mode here, let's back up a little bit. Sorry about that. All right, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies. So again, this is what Zephon looks like now. Before they decided to really do more better texturizations and polygon counts and saturate it down just a little bit more as to what the tonality of Zephon really looked like in the original format of PS1 or the PC days. And again, if you take a look at Raziel one more time with his with his gauntlets and the back of his cowl that's now covering his face, the tonality and the saturation has much more deeper in tone of the brown. That looks great. I can't be much more happier. I think this is going to be this is definitely a much better idea. Now with Zephon, of course, if you take what Zephon looks like, my God, he looks so great. And I love the way how he just looks from the artistic design of him from top of his horns to where his eyes are and to where his mouth is and to where the crown of his head. Man, they really did all out on this. And not only that, it's the fact of what his teeth look like. This is where I think that they are doing a much better job of, doing a better art from an artistic point of view. From me, not a professional, obviously, but I'm very visual. So again, I just really think that this looks so much better than initially did from the previous videos. So I don't know if they showed him off in the first video before, but I just thought I maybe probably possibly state the obvious. So all right, let's venture forward. All right, guys. So we move just a little bit more forward here, and so like I said again, this is the boss battle to where you have to light the egg and throw it against Zephon 3 times, and then he will be dead. So now, if you take a look in the background where Zephon is, because he is a not a lifelike spider, excuse me, that he is a spider that is basically cornered in the back of the Silence Cathedral, because that's where his lair is. And not only that, I really love the newer colorization and textures of the vibrancy of where Zephon is, and really bringing out the not just the foliage of what it looks like, but it's everything of what makes this whole entire boss battle look more menacing and gruesome, and it just looks so much better in tone, and I think it's just fantastic. So, all right, here we go. One more time. All right, guys. So now this is the Rahab part, and a lot of people did not like the way how Rahab looked. I actually liked it to a certain degree, but what we're going to see here is going to be so much better than what we previously saw in the previous video. So this is going to be before transition. Boom. This is what he looks like, but we'll get much closer look. All right, guys. So now this is what he looks like in the better state form of what he looks like now than the previous video. This was a very controversial part of the trailer before because a lot of people did not like the way how Rahab looked. Me specifically, I actually enjoyed it to a certain degree, but again, what they actually initially did for this version of Rahab is that they actually toned down his colorization format of Rahab to match, I would say, maybe a little bit lighter in gray and lighter in green in the mix. And I'm telling you, this looks great. I love the fact how Rahab looks basically in the lower extremities of his body. And then with his upper extremities, he is going to be a little bit more, I would say, not too light of a green, but there is some green involved. And as I previously mentioned in the video that I made before as well, is that what really makes Rahab very unique in this specific part of the video is the fact that with this colorization of his upper body, especially his webbed hands and his upper extremities of his chest and his head, and not just his eyes, they actually take in the form of the colorization of the water. I don't know if you guys see that right away, but I saw that instantly because, like I said, again, I am a very visual person, and that's where my artistic eye is coming into point of view. Because, like I said, again, I'm not a professional here, so I'm just making my own type of critique on this. So I think this looks so much greater. But let's go a little bit more. Oh, all right, so now this is what he looks like very up close. And guys, I'm going to tell you one thing. This looks so much better than the previous. I mean, honestly, in the previous one, that's initially what he was supposed to look like. But I think the reason why they decided to go with this route is because they wanted to make the boss battles or even the enemies in the game a little bit more better in tone and not so much desaturation, but some saturation involved. You know, bringing some of that saturation down a little bit more so that way they can look a bit more menacing and gruesome and all that. So that's really cool. And what I also did notice in this video as well, especially in the Rahab part, as you see here, is that everything in the background from where the window is and where the pillars are, they do look much better than they initially did before in the previous video, because in this video, it's showing off some of the better saturation and the tonality and the artistic design from where the mirror or where the window is and to where the arches are in the ingrained in the walls. It looks fantastic. I love the way how this whole entire area of this video really looks. It looks so much better and looks so great and looks so good. So, but again, I really like this version of Rahab. This looks so much better than the previous. And I saw the comment section on this video, and I'm telling you, a lot of people are really greatly appreciating this even more than the previous video. So, again, Aspire Media, you guys are doing a really good job of listening to the feedback as to the previous video. So, all right, let's venture forward. All right, guys. So as you can see here, this is before the transition of the remastered version of Soul Reaver 1. This is what Duma looks like right now. But once we get into transition, my apologies, you'll see what I mean. Boom. All right, guys. So now we already know what Raziel looks like in remastered format. This is what Duma looks like in the remastered format. This is by far one of the most intricate design of one of Raziel's brothers in this game, other than from like Duma or Rahab or Malkaya. But Duma is magnificent. I love the way how his head looks. Again with the eyes, they're giving him they're giving his brothers more menacing in the eye tonality and the artistic style of it, and that's what's so great. But again, what I love about Duma here is the intricate design of what Duma looks like, especially in the upper extremities or the lower extremities of his feet, to his greaves, to his upper chest, to where the symbols are, and then up to his face. This looks fantastic. I have never seen anything like this in a remaster. I mean, opposite that, from like Quake 1 or Quake 2, because those are first person shooters, but point being, those games were absolutely great in remastered format. But I think when it comes to preservation, when it comes to, other than, like Quake 1 or Quake 2 or Doom 64 or vice versa from Night Dive Studios, but I really think that Aspire Media is going to be doing such a great job for these remasters, and I can't wait to see what the full intel of this whole entire product is going to be like when it comes out. So again, this looks so fantastic. I love this. And I just love visual art styles when it comes to movies, games, or anything. When it comes to any kind of animated movies specifically, other than just like regular movies themselves. So again, this just looks fantastic. So all I can say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciated. Any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below, guys. And you know, I would really like to get your takes and what your opinions are on this new trailer because again, like I said, I really think that this is going to be a much better video, and it is a much better video than we did see before. So again, I really think that this is going to be a really good remaster and in all its glory and what it's initially going to look like when it initially comes out this year, December 10th, 2024. But anyways, so much further ado, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jake from Citizen JV, and I am out. Peace.